Welcome everyone. As you can see, that we have a proposal here, and it's for Holy Family School. I'm sure you all know where that is, and I'm just going to let you know right off the bat that is scheduled for the Board of Zoning Adjustment for April the 4th, not as the community meeting notice you would have received. So April 4th is where you could put that on your calendar. I'm Ted Kozak with Orange County Zoning Division, and with us tonight is District Commissioner Nicole Wilson here on the side, and her aide, and somewhere here Janelle from our zoning department. So it's an opportunity to be heard, and if Commissioner wants to say something to start. Nothing.
Thank you. It's an opportunity for the applicant to present their plan and to get feedback from the community, and then we will obviously, if you get our newsletter, and if you don't, please do as of right now, NicoleWilson.org, sign up for the newsletter. We will make sure to send out a reminder when it does go to the Board of Zoning Adjustment, because we understand that the original mailer, what was the date on the original mailer?
For March, but this date obviously stayed the same. So March.
This date stayed the same, so we're going to get this feedback, which is good.
This is better time.
Yeah, so we'll have a little bit extra time if it's not coming back to the Board of Zoning Adjustment until April. So
instead of March, April 4th.
So if you have anything that you think of outside of here and you want to share, please do not hesitate to email district1@ocfl.net. And thank you for being here.
And I'm going to let everyone, have the applicant do the more detailed presentation. My presentation will be a lot faster, and then obviously the idea is to have comments, and that's why we're here. So you won't be bored of hearing my voice. So tonight, for efficiency, we're going to, at the end, if you can save your questions for the end and have everyone at the most have a 3-minute comment. And the purpose of this is, as I said, this is for the Board of Zoning Adjustment, and what's at the property of 5125 South Apopka Vineland. And tonight is an opportunity to have your voice heard and hear what's presented and being proposed. The applicant is here, the applicant team. They have a PowerPoint, hopefully, that they'll be able to show. It sounds like they can, school representatives, and they'll be able to also answer at the very end. So save your questions to the end, let everyone, it shouldn't be that long of a couple of presentations. So I'm just going to do a very brief overview. This is the Board of Zoning Adjustment process. So we have required notifications, and one of the requirements, if so, on a presentation that involves a special exception, is the community meeting. So that comes in. We schedule this for public input. There will be a staff report, and that won't be until for April, so I would expect maybe the end of March. That'll be available. I can tell you how to get there. Just remember Fast Track, Orange County Fast Track. If you did a search, you could even right now punch in these numbers, SC2403-144, and you'll be able to find everything in there. As soon as the staff report's put together, it'll show up on there too. So it's a lot easier, and you could even say, email me, or you have the commissioner's information. So there's a number of ways you can do it, but Fast Track is faster. If you want to do that 2 in the morning, then you'll be able to do. So after the Board of Zoning Adjustment, then the process after that is there's an appeal period. That's within 15 days. And then after that 15 days, approximately another week later, it goes in front of the Board of County Commissioners for a confirmation. If it's moved forward for a future public hearing, that'll be approximately 6 weeks later. So end of April, potentially later, but no earlier than April, early April, late April. So that is go quickly through, and then I'll do my PowerPoint. Talked about April 4th, and talked about mail, phone, email, all of those, and feel free to contact me or Commissioner's office in any way that you feel more comfortable. Talked about the specifics. This is in Commissioner District 1, obviously. The project is called Rural County Estate. That's the zoning district. The future land use is rural settlement. And there are certain uses such as public schools and religious institutions that are allowed through a special exception process. So I'm going to briefly go through this. This is, I talked about the future land use, the address, we know that. A lot of you know where it's on South Apopka Vineland. What is requested is an amendment to an approved special exception in the zoning district for an expansion of the athletic fields, including a concession building and bleachers.
It's slow.
And it's slow, so.
Sorry.
If we can imagine on the next slide.
I'm getting you there.
Sounds like there could be some donations coming to the school for a better computer. We might have to switch to my PDF, because we have the spinning wheel of death.
Yep.
PDF is good. Oh,
Sorry.
we're in Commissioner District 1. District 1 at ocfl.net, and a whole bunch of other ways to get a hold of the Commissioner's office. This is the project timeline. It came in December, public notices. Here we are tonight. April 4th is the scheduled public hearing at the BZA, and then the tentative April 23rd. The location map.
Sorry.
We all know where it is, South Apopka Vineland. The zoning district is the next one, which indicates in yellow residential districts. And the property as it stands today, that's the aerial. And then this is the little map that site plan I put together for the community meeting notice, just to kind of really focus in on what's proposed here. The proposed concession and bleacher building, the field, which is somewhat in the same area, but shifting a little this way, but having a couple of multi-purpose things in the middle. This is split to two, the landscape proposed plan, so beefing up the landscaping along the streets and along the adjacent to the wall, on the other side of the wall, and right up against the track, and then everywhere else to fill in the proposed area of interest, which is the limit of work, which is in this area to the south, where just a little bit of paving change, and then a retention area. There used to be a house here, so a little bit of modification there. This is the proposed building that I talked about, concessions, I'm told hot dogs.
It's really hard to see because it's like a screen and a screen.
I'm trying.
It's okay.
Fortunately, we have a memory issue here. Did we lose?
I tried to make it bigger, and when you change something, it
Well, now.
computers.
Good. We're almost at home here, but I hope
So
your
I
PowerPoint is
can't.
gonna get okay too. Maybe if we flip, and then the floor plan of that concession and moving forward. And the bleachers, the different levels. This is the south property line. There used to be a residence kind of that way. There's some trees here not to be touched. And then the gate, and then the area where there's some resurfacing. This is the existing track, that wall, so if you visualize, landscaping on this side of the wall, moving its way down. And this is facing towards the playground area, so this way is west. Continuing. I think we might be. So the proposal, just in summary, site access is still the same, and the special exception, 2 bleachers, total of 140 seats, so I guess 70 seats in each bleacher. The track, the soccer field, basketball court in the middle of the field. Other track and field improvements, including long jump and shot put. The building itself, which has some storage restrooms, and there are no proposed lights for that area at all. Very quickly, I think this is my last slide. The existing school, the student count, that's not changing. Just talking about what the parking requirement would be is 120 parking spaces. The site has 384. Obviously, it's just a comparison purposes for even if everybody took a separate car for that 140 bleachers, you'd still have enough. Hours of operation not proposed to change, and then the athletic area, the hours that I'm sure the applicant team can talk about in detail daily. That's the school hours, 7:30 to 3:30, and then 3:30 p.m. till sunset because there are no lights, and Saturday, 7 a.m. to 4. And I think that's all I have, and hopefully applicant team's PowerPoint's going to work. All right, I'm going to step aside and...
Good evening. Let me just begin. I hope you would permit me this opportunity to say a prayer, because coming with a collar and not pray seems a little bit bad. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for having brought us together as a community, these men and women of goodwill. And we ask your blessing upon this meeting today, and allow our discussion to be fruitful, be a time of listening, of openness, of tranquility, and of growth. We ask your blessing upon the students, the children of Holy Family Catholic School, their education, their formation as human beings. And we ask you to bless our future as well, as we trust always in your providential care. In your Son's most holy name we pray. Amen. Amen. Well, my friends, please allow me also the opportunity to thank all of you. First, thanking the staff of Orange County for assisting us through this whole process. Thanking our neighbors for having shown up this evening. Thanking our neighbors as well for having been a part of Holy Family Catholic School. I truly believe that a school is as safe as the neighborhood that it is in. With all the stories out there about violence against children and schools, there's never been a concern for our school. Why? Because the neighborhood is good, because you have kept the neighborhood safe and well. I also want to, if there's any member from St. Luke community, expressing my gratitude to St. Luke as well, because for the past several months, Pastor Jen and her team have allowed our children to use their field, because we have not been able to utilize our field as much for the different activities that the students have been engaging. And so for that, I'm very grateful. Just a little bit about myself. My name is Father Martin Nguyen. I'm the pastor of Holy Family Catholic Church, and I consider myself a local boy. Since my arrival from Vietnam to this country, Holy Family has been my community. I graduated from Dr. Phillips, and so if there's any Olympians around here, please don't hold that against me. Holy Family has always been my home, and then I came back as a pastor. When I returned, it was just right after COVID-19, and so it was a progress of reopening and revamping a life as we knew it. You could change the... There was something that was of my concern when I arrived back on campus, and that is the three facilities in the back of the campus. First is the convent where our religious sisters had been living for many years, then the sport field and the track, and then the residence of the priest. Perhaps because these buildings and these facilities was towards the back of the campus, hadn't been receiving as much attention, and so we found them in a condition of some really serious disrepairs. And now if you pay close attention to the sport field and the track, you might notice that it's in a very odd shape, not something that a regular track would look like. And that's because it came after these two buildings had already been built. And so being locked between these two buildings, we can only do with whatever we had at the time. And so with these two buildings now in serious disrepairs, we have the opportunity not only to repair the damages to the tracks and the sport fields, but also we have a chance to make it a regular track where our students can use it on a regular basis for their PE and other activities. And for that reason, we have demolished these two buildings and hope to basically rectify the track to a regular use for our students. And so you will see then, this is the area that we propose for the scope of work. First, to clean up the paving in this area, the two buildings here had already been demolished. And so the focus is to make sure that the track would meet all the standards. And in order to do so, we do have to relocate our current playground and then our concession stand as well. And so this would be the proposed look of how it will look like when the project is completed. Basically a standardized track. The concession stand and the playground would be moved slightly north. And then we would create a retention area to make sure that all the drainage is accounted for. So just to kind of give us a better view, so this is what it's supposed to look like right now, minus the two buildings that have already been demolished. And you can see how the track looks like. And so our intention is simply to work on this proposed area here in order to turn it to what it is that we hope to accomplish. First and foremost, just modify the paving to clean it up a bit. The concession stand and the bleachers, the playground, the sports field and the track, propose landscaping buffers. The residents for the trees that used to be on this side will simply be moved to the adjacent property, and then the retention area. In undertaking this project, I am mindful of some items that any reasonable minds would be thinking about when you hear about expansion. I think it's a bit of a misnomer, to be honest, because we're not expanding anything, but rather simply improving what is already in existence in order to meet the needs of our students. Now, there might be some concerns concerning lights. When you hear track and sports field, also lights and sports competition, let's not forget this is an elementary school. So I'm very mindful of my children bedtime. So I don't anticipate them to be out so late. The latest we would expect is aftercare would finish at 6 p.m. So regular school hours that the children would use the sports field. So we are not intending on adding lights to the sport fields and the track. Second, there might be some concerns concerning traffic. That is always a valid concern if you live on Apopka Vineland or in this neighborhood, because it's growing a lot. But let's not forget that we are not intending on modifying anything whatsoever when it comes to the regular activities of the students. So we still have all the schedule. It's a simple repairs and improve of existing infrastructures and facilities. And then perhaps noises, right? I'm mindful of that. For myself, having been in the classroom, having been an administrator for parishes with schools all the time, the best thing for me when I'm stressed is to hear the sound of children's laughter. Children playing in innocence and laughter. But it's not a cup of tea for everybody, and I do understand that. And so I'm mindful of that, and that is why we do have proposed landscaping buffers to make sure that we minimize the impact to our neighbors as much as we can. And that is our presentation. I do appreciate your attention very much.
Great, thank you. Is it okay, I was gonna say, are you okay with taking, is the applicant team okay with taking questions if there are questions?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so.
And as well as comments, because our intention is to hear you.
There's no mic to grab tonight. So typically we have thankfully a lot of time. So at this point, we have no mic, so we'll have to just, if you want to see people's hands, and then I'll let the questions be
Yes,
asked.
sir.
So
My name is Jeff Forrest. I've been associated with the property at 8959 Farley Street for 53 years, so there's only a handful of people in here that can claim to have lived in this neighborhood for that long or have been associated with it. So, and when I was a kid, that whole area was our playground, including where the church is now, and so we used to play in those streets, and the only way we got home was ringing a bell because we were so far away. That growth has long since chased all that away. There's 4 churches around us, which means we can't swear out loud in our neighborhood. But our concern is not necessarily with what you're doing, but with what exists today. And that is a great deal of traffic and parking problems that exist. And so you mentioned you're not changing anything. I might disagree, but if you could put the site plan up, if I have, just call me off and I don't need to. So there is a lot of spaces and uses on your property right now. I think it's safe to say that adding the bleachers adds another volume of people, whether it's existing people or not. If you come at any given day, there's cars parked here when there's a big event. There's traffic that comes in, and it's very efficient to come out of this parking lot and come out of those 2 exit points and red. Now, our home is here. Alan's Rude's home is in the corner here. The Greens are right next to us, and I don't know if anybody else lives in this neighborhood that's here. But this is a traffic pattern. And so if it doesn't add anything, it's already a problem. And so I would argue that this little experience that you're adding is only going to add more parking. I would be curious, you mentioned there's 300 and something parking spaces?
384.
So four per classroom. Is that the calculation?
That's the calculation.
Now, does that also take in all the other uses and all the other parking that has to occur?
Parking's only calculated on the number of classrooms.
Not
So
the church space or not any of those
It's-
spaces? Those uses don't have
It's
parking
calculated
requirements?
separately. So
Right
they
on.
all have to get
Fair
to the
enough.
max. It's like church max, school max. These are uses for the school itself. So I didn't mention the parking for the church because it's not going to happen at the same time as this field.
So there's no experience where that all will all occur at the same time?
That's exactly it.
Right.
They can
Yeah.
confirm it. That's why I'm not
So-
talking about the church as parking.
Yeah. So this area, is this considered a landscape buffer along the side here? Is that would be considered a landscape buffer buffering, what is that, Gaylord? Is that considered a landscape buffer?
It could, I'm not, this is a conceptual, so I
No
need
worries.
to see what.
I think
my
originally when this plan was done, this
So-
probably was an alternative to a fence.
So a buffer is along property lines, you don't need a wall or a fence, it's just landscaping absorbs it. That's
Fair
the
enough.
goal. So anyway,
Yeah, so this is intended to be considered the separation of the property, yeah? Here? Right. No fence there? There is a little bit of fence in the corner here, right? Yeah.
you're not required, and it's actually not encouraged to have a fence along the right way. So-
We might argue in the neighborhood that everybody parks here and walks.
So, I know.
If there was a fence there, it would be hard for them to park along the street and walk in.
Oh, so, yeah, I just want to let everyone have a chance, so do you
No
have
worries.
any more questions?
Yeah, so
We'll
on your
move
site
forward.
plan that you proposed, you have what appears to be a fence line there. Is that going to be there or not?
That's not, I'm the county, so
Yeah.
the,
All right, we do propose, there is going to be a fence proposed, it's going to be running along here and along here to make sure we take percentage for
Right
the
on.
area where the kids are going to be located.
So my last question then, aside from, is the rectory a part of this discussion or not?
No.
Okay, got it. So controlled access, people won't just be able to show up in the neighborhood and access the track, correct?
The intent is for everybody taking access from one site, being at one site with regards to the church and then the school.
Right. When I was a kid, I hit every basketball court I could in the neighborhood, mostly down at Lake Cade, right? So as long as people can't come and access that space because it's fenced off, that's obviously helpful
Out
to
of
the neighborhood.
security for the children, that is
Correct.
a major mindful, something that we have to be very mindful of.
Yeah. So, again, lastly, this experience that happens every single morning, all you gotta do is go out there and watch it.
Yeah,
It's not, instead of coming out here, it's much more efficient to go this way,
that's right.
so. So I don't know if there's a traffic count, a trip count, or something that might be required to be provided.
I'm not sure if transportation planning's here, but they commented that an accessory like this is,
I like that she's in the back.
there she is. If you want, just very briefly.
Yes, yes. Well, my name is Marina Bark. I'm with Transportation
planning in Orange County. And we will, for traffic calming, because I know you guys have, like, we could do a study for traffic calming and maybe put some speed bumps or humps that would prevent people from.
That we don't have to pay for?
No, you don't have to pay for it. The
Yeah, I
commissioner
think
says.
and that might be helpful, that kind of audit of the traffic that goes in that direction away from the church into what would be considered the residential part of the area.
We have to
I don't think
conduct
it'll
this
stop the
study.
traffic, it'll slow down. I don't think it's gonna stop the traffic.
No, it's not gonna stop.
Afternoons,
the traffic.
evenings, weekends, anytime it's event, that people parking in our yards, and especially if that facility's there and that fence is able to be accessed, jumping over it, we're gonna park right there on our street, Harley and Gaylord. Thank you.
And also, we're gonna ask the applicant to provide sidewalks on the limits of Galaxy and Gaylord Street. So they have
That
to
just
build
promotes the walking
5
around.
feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not something.
You don't want?
Well,
Okay, well, that would be.
Anyway, yeah, if you just, any other comments on the traffic that was mentioned?
And then, because they're not adding students, this is an existing use, they're just trying to, like, instead of playing on the other church's field, they just want to play on their own field. So for us, when we address traffic and trip generation, it's based on addition of students. So to us, this use kind of exists already. And it's only where the kids is gonna play.
Because it doesn't increase the
From a
volume.
traffic impact, there's no trip generation that's created by, yes, ma'am.
Clarification so that we can get together later so I can understand sort of specifically, because I heard, do we have to pay for that? And I don't.
Hear a word she's
Sorry,
saying.
I was gonna say, I wanna make sure that I'm understanding, so a study being done based on what they're encountering now, we could do is a separate discussion.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if you guys have a couple minutes after we're done to talk to them about doing that anyway, because there may be some things that regardless of the timing of this, we might be able to help if you're already seeing. Because I was not aware that that's happening right now.
Fair enough.
You have a question?
Just 60 seconds. My wife Shelley, we're the Greens, we live by Jeff and Alan over here. Let's see here. We have had constant traffic year after year. We went to your facilities as a kind gesture to keep these people to go down. When you built all this infrastructure, they were supposed to come out at the light. Okay? I've been there 17 years, and we love the children. I have them, and you're right, I hear them play behind St. Luke's, and it warms my heart. But it's gonna be, property values are gonna drop, traffic's gonna come around. You really haven't, we've asked nicely, all these families here to keep the traffic out. That's why we live there, sir. We wanna live in peace, you know, we don't mind the children playing on the fields, but you got all this land, why didn't this get shifted way down here? You know? And it's gonna come, you know?
Well, they're probably balancing, because then
Yeah.
you shove it here,
Yeah.
I think.
Well, that's not our problem.
Yeah, no, but it becomes.
Stormwater, that's part of their plan,
No.
not my problem.
Now, the point what you're making
Yeah.
is true, and what, maybe they have a month to talk about how we can have, ensure that the parking is going in here, and they're funneled here.
Yep, all this was
As
supposed to be
they're-
coming
as
out
they're-
right here, this light, sir, all this. Out of these gates, all this coming around. They cut through this road, they cut down our road, constant.
So that's
I've been
some
backing
first.
in, I've been backing in a trailer and I had people go in my yard to go around me because I was holding them up for 10 seconds. So I'll let somebody else speak.
Thank you.
That's a follow-up question real quick. Do you have an existing concession stand?
What's that?
Do you have an existing concession stand?
It had been demolished, but it's basically just relocation to
Where?
moving a little bit north of where it was.
So there was one, yeah.
There was.
Where?
What's that?
Well,
Where?
The existing one was probably located about right here, and it's being shifted over, so it's slightly north, slightly west, but it's like only, like 20, 30 feet, maybe, it's about all it's gonna be shifting, and we just need to move it out of the way.
So it sounds like it's
Thank
been
you.
demolished already. So,
Thank you.
But it's an existing one that's being replaced.
want to make sure, at the back there,
I just want to make a point, since we changed at the school, we changed the way we're doing some things in the morning. We no longer have a back drop-off, which was a major source of traffic through your neighborhood. So I'm sure you've seen a decrease throughout the day because we don't do that any longer. So I just wanted to make that point, that we're no longer doing that, and that's, I believe, in perpetuity.
In anticipation of some of these projects, we had to create a new pattern of drop-off. And therefore, what used to be the back drop-off, we had redirected it into this direction to alleviate all the traffic in that direction, mindful naturally of our neighbors as well.
So I think this is an opportunity for clarification on the actual, you know, a good narrative on the drop-off plan for the hearing coming up, because that's a good thing to come out of this, is how does it work? And typically we have schools of all types that have a, you know, person here sits here and there's a walkie-talkie. So that kind of thing is what we're looking for in narrative, and I think that would reassure a lot of people and what kind of plan there is. You know, there's a lot of schools in the county and they all have plans, that because a lot of them are in the middle of the neighborhoods because that's how we grew. So here is an opportunity to get that in the record, and you know, it'll make it a lot smoother.
Yes, good evening. My name is John Whalen. I live on 3410 Galaxy Way, like right across the street from the proposed site. Has the site plan been approved yet? And I know we're still in.
No, that's why we're here now. So it's in process.
It's in the process. So I don't know if you went over the dates. So it goes back before the commission.
So we're, just a reminder to everyone, it's April 4th and then late April.
I missed that part.
So it's April.
Okay.
So we're talking about the site plan as it could be massaged to have, like, there's obviously improvements that can't move, like buildings. This is the field itself, and the landscaping is something that's close to my heart too. So did you have a specific question?
So no, I used to be on planning and zoning for the county, on the commission. So great presentation, all about expansion of the church. Don't want to stymie God's word or his plan for expansion, but we don't want, obviously, property values to reduce. The biggest thing that, one of the tenets of the Planning and Zoning Commission was compatibility. You have it's a great, I think, concept that you have, but the compatibility is wrong. There's nothing but houses around here. You mentioned Apopka Vineland, that would go great on Apopka Vineland, I think. This right here. But the compatibility of your proposed project is not compatible with the neighborhood.
I am so confused. Do you know that it's the same use?
I understand the future land use. I understand. I understand.
No, I know. I'm just confused. I'm trying to make sure
the zoning is.
No one's doing anything with the future land use. Like, there's no future land use change.
You're right.
Okay.
You're extending the track and field, which was in the public notice, correct?
Right. Well, they're reconfiguring it, but it's the same uses. I just want to make sure everyone's on the same page.
You can kind of say what you want to say about it.
No,
I get it.
I just want to make sure you understood what he was asking for, because I heard you say church expansion. I'm like, oh, we're not here for a church expansion.
I know. I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, I said expanding the word of God.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
I wasn't saying
different meeting.
What I'm saying is the project is incompatible with the neighborhood. When I said I was on planning and zoning, compatibility was a tenet that we went by for approval or denial of a lot of projects. As people here in the audience, a lot of the neighbors, I'm sure, are opposed to your development or the project, like myself as well. So that's why I was asking about the dates. And in our talkings about it with some of the residents is to make sure you show up at those dates to show your disapproval to the project. But compatibility is the biggest issue. I don't have a problem. I think you said with cleaning up or modifying some things. That's great. Probably does need to be cleaned up, or those things that need to happen. But in terms of compatibility, I think it fails when it's
Okay. Comment noted.
How does it fail?
So
How does it fail?
It's not compatible with the neighborhood.
Can you list forward?
Okay, hey, so listen.
Hang on.
So it's really important, you guys, because we have a big crowd here, which always makes me really excited, and I love my district for this reason.
And they don't.
But we've got to make sure that we're being super respectful and getting all the information and allowing the applicant team to address the information. And for me, I have my own assignments here, right? Because I want to make sure that we get together. I think there's some opportunities to figure out this traffic pattern or signage or something to help. It may have nothing to do with them redoing their track, but I do want to make sure that I'm helping whatever happens, okay? The other piece of it is understanding the differences sort of in a Board of Zoning Adjustment versus Planning and Zoning. And there's no change in the underlying use, there's no change in the enrollment. So I want to make sure that that is something that's also super clear.
That is very clear.
So the enrollment's not going up,
We
right?
have word they're trying to update you.
I understand that.
Hang on.
So no, wait, so can we just please let the applicant just go through this process?
Why do you need a
Ma'am, if we can direct to the front,
Yeah,
it'd
so
be
we
great.
just want to be respectful of their time. They have the right, as the owner of this parcel right now and the operator of the school, to come forward. No, and you have the right to also, everybody's got property, has property rights, and even people who don't have property have property rights. But the part of it that I think is really important is that we respect each other's time and the ability to communicate. So if he can explain this, there's going to be opportunity for us to address whatever those concerns are, but we can't get anything done if there's a bunch of yelling. So just make sure.
Thank you. I mean,
I wanted to make sure.
I wish
that
we had a mic, but.
I want to reiterate that I hear what you're saying, and I want to simply reiterate the fact that, this is something that's already in place and in use. It has been under a very terrible condition that our children has not been able to properly use it for quite some time. This is also an opportunity for us to make it right, because when it was first built, it was not built correctly, and so it wasn't able to be used by our students to the full capacity that it's supposed to be. And so there is nothing that is inventive in this way other than rectifying what wasn't done properly in the first place. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so for that reason, because it's already there, everything was there, so this is kind of going towards, for Ted, why do they need to come in and amend the special exception if it's already there? Thank you.
Because when you're changing a special exception conditional use, like we've had high schools, we had a stadium, the school didn't change, the school enrollment doesn't change, but they have to come in. Believe me, they were on the phone quite a bit. This isn't a change, why do we need, because it doesn't matter if you're shuffling things around, you're changing what was shown before, that's why. So this has a solid wall that it's, unless I'm growing or shrinking, this is 8 feet high. That is,
It's a 10-foot.
that is tall. That is a tall wall. You never get that. You get 6 feet at the most normally. That's a very tall wall. And it's existing. We're gonna make our way this way, and we're shifting as proposed. We, meaning the applicant, is shifting towards the middle here. And apparently there's some drainage improvements. But again, this use needs an amendment because something is changing. They're not, they're adding a building. If they put a shed, they wouldn't need to come back in here, but it's bigger than a shed. So if we have some questions over here, we have people coming at a chance.
So I think there's a little bit of confusion with the words bleachers and concession stand. We're not talking, we're selling hot dogs and foam fingers and boomsticks, and this isn't a high school. We're selling Gatorades and Skittles for like 50 cents when there's an event there. Not on a daily, not at school, but when it happens to be a game or something after school, that's when we're selling those things. It's not like people are gonna come on a Saturday morning, hey, I want a cheeseburger, let me go to the Holy Family concession stand. Because trust me, I love concession stand cheeseburgers, but it's not like that, it's not a Little League field. And the bleachers, we're just putting a set of bleachers for the parents so we don't have to bring chairs. It's no different than what we already do. We already bring our tailgate chairs out there to sit down, but instead of that, a lot of our area Catholic schools have a set of bleachers that the parents can just go and sit in. So the amount of people that are coming is not changing. We're not trying to get more kids to come on a Saturday to come eat, hot dogs and sit in the bleachers and have a pickup game. The gates are closed, that's not happening. So I don't want you to think like bleachers, like now it's all of this, it's a stadium. It's not even close to that.
Hi, my name is Carlos Brackley. My family are members of Holy Family Catholic Church, and my 2 daughters go to school there since they were 4 years old. They're now in 7th grade. I do have a couple comments in response to a few things that these folks over here have said. First, to the gentleman in the red shirt, who said that he thought this use was incompatible with the area. I think that's, with all due respect, incorrect. Communities have churches, communities have schools, schools have athletic fields. This school had one. They're trying to make it better and safer for the kids. I think that's a compatible use with the neighborhood. It's compatible with families. It's compatible with kids. And secondly, I think for the folks that are on this room, and I understand what they're saying about traffic, but what it sounds to me is that they are more concerned with their uses that are already there. They're already upset that there's athletic fields, there's people coming, there's traffic coming, there's events there. It's already bothering them, and they're trying to use this as an opportunity to stop that and change it, and that's not really what this should be for. The kids and the school should have a place for the kids to play, for the kids to have athletic events, and for the families to come support them, and for school to gather around. That's my comments.
20 seconds.
Well, no, I was gonna say, we need to make our way around the room a little bit, so just because.
My name is James Kissio. I live at Lot 17 in Torrey Pines. I've lived there since 1990. When the church was there was no school.
Is this a question?
No, I'm making a comment.
Okay, I'm sorry, I was trying to figure out if we were having another presentation, because we only have about 12 more minutes in the school, so.
Okay, well, I'll be real brief.
Okay.
Over time, since 1993, they've expanded first the parking. Then in 94, they put a school in. Well, when they did the parking, they put a block wall around lot 28 of Torrey Pines. When they put the school and athletic field in 94, they extended the block wall down through lot 25, which is my neighbor. And here I am at lot 17, and I've already spoken to my other neighbor at lot 16 that abuts. This is an expansion into residential because when they tore the rectory building down, that was land use code 0103, single family class 3. Same with the convent. They have had to tear those both down to be able to fit the footprint of this tract in there. So that's why they've needed to go through this special exception process, because they have expanded into what was essentially a residential type setting. You want to talk about compatibility, that's what they've done. They've torn down the residences there, and now they're expanding the tract even more. So each time they've expanded.
Did you have a question for them, or?
Well, my comment is this. I'll get right to it. You want to move it to here, now that puts it that much closer to my property. And you want to hear what that sounds like. When they had this 2-story rectory building there, that was a buffer from this field down through here.
Excuse me, could you put it out on the screen? Because we're not.
They told me they didn't know how to do that, so.
He's talking right here. Right here.
Can you point to where your house is?
Well, no, I'm going to show you here.
Or your area?
Here's a video. This is from this morning. Actually, around just before lunchtime.
Of recess, kids playing outside?
Yes.
Recess time?
Listen.
Oh.
I'm sorry, you complaining about children playing in the yard?
Okay, so if it's okay, while you're trying to pull that up, if there are.
No, I already pulled it up. I was listening. He interrupted when I said, listen to this.
I know, but
You can hear the children screaming now from my yard.
Okay, and I apologize but I want to make sure that we're being respectful of everyone's time, and there were definitely other questions that I wanted to make sure the applicant had.
I thought I was allowed at least 3 minutes.
Well, this is actually a community meeting, it's not public comment, but you definitely will get probably either 1 or 2 minutes during the community meeting, and I do think if you have anything, did everybody here sign in? Okay. So the good news is I will also be able to distribute any information we have from the applicant, from anybody that's participating in
And the
this evening.
videos you can email
I
to
just
me?
know that we have a hard stop here at the school, and there was questions from around the
Right.
room. Can I get?
We would like to have people, give people the opportunity to also voice their voices as well. Thank you.
Yeah, my question is about the new development of the retention pond. Can I get some information about how deep that's going to be? Because that doesn't exist now. Right now, there are trees on that spot. How deep is it going to be? Has someone looked at it from the county from a health perspective, what type of drainage is going into that spot? What area is it draining from the school? Because right next to that is a large
If we can
dumpster
let the applicant
with trash. So what's gonna drain into that? Is it gonna be the rain wash off from the dumpster that's right next to that?
So when we go through and do developments for basically the county and the water management district, we're required to do a certain amount of treatment of water before we discharge and also control the amount. Because obviously if you're going to develop, it's going to take an expanding amount of impervious area. So that's what we've done is basically down here, this is the low area. So all the water is flowing from this direction down. So it's always ran that direction, and that's where we put the pond, because obviously we can't get water to flow uphill on that. So what we're going to be doing is basically the development that's basically in here, we're collecting all the water that's coming through there now and actually collecting it into the pond in order to take and address the requirements for the county and for the water management district prior to it discharging. So yeah, any of the parking lot, the dumpster, the track and field up here, there's a concession stand, all that.
Where you can see that a little better, I think this is really hard
So
to see.
Yeah, but one thing that you mentioned the trees. Now, on where the pond's located, there are a row of trees that are in there that are right next to the property line. We actually have those shown as being not replaced, but actually preserved on that. So those trees that we have right along here, they do have them as being preserved. That's
So
correct.
let's clarify, and when I went out to the site taking photos for this presentation, the applicant and the church is actually being very cautious. There's actually some dead pines here that they should take down. They don't want to take anything down because then they don't want to make it sound like they're taking chainsaws and taking, but there's actually 3 pines that are very dead, but they're very, very concerned just to remove them, just to remove any impression. Same down here, there's a bunch of weeds, a bunch of weedy tree. There's going to be some of these that have to go. That I'm also an environmentalist, if you will, and an arborist, so there's some trees in here, so when that occurs, they actually can do it now without a permit, but they're not going to because they don't want to make an impression they're doing something without permission. So just to clarify, whatever trees that are actually native, they're going to keep. So the ponds, so we can talk about ponds later, but right now let's separate land use from site improvements. Right now, there are a number of things they're showing on here. They can apply for a permit now, and we wouldn't stop them. You know, you can change your drainage. You can change some things. We're looking at the focus on what things that they're improving that needs the special exception amendment. So very quickly, we're running out of time here in the blue.
Yes, sir. I'll make this very quick. My name is Dan O'Keefe. I've been a member of this community since 1980, and I've been a parishioner at Holy Family since 1980. 4 of my children have graduated from the school. It is a wonderful asset to this community, and I think the idea that you're going to have a better track to serve the students without increasing the intensity or density on the property is a win for the community. It's better for the students, and we're not going to be increasing the traffic or demands on the property beyond what's already there today. So I'm very much in support. Thank you.
Okay, there was a question.
Okay, a question. When you move the playground, are you gonna make it better and safer for the kids, or are you gonna use with existing infrastructure that you have in there?
Right now, we have a fairly basic playground for children from I believe K to 3. So even if we want to improve the equipment, it's basically built for the same age group, just to kind of making sure that it's safe and age appropriate.
But you're not sacrificing the playground space, you're just moving it to the other space?
That's correct.
Okay, and also for the inside of the track field, are you going to do like a multi-purpose field for it? That green area that is in between the track?
Oh, you're talking about this particular area?
Yeah, to maximize the
So
space
they
that you
would
have
be able to play soccer and other sports that the kids are
So
interested
it's better making the space.
Making
more
use of the
useful
space, basically,
To
yes.
make it better, so you'll be able to use for different activities.
That's correct.
Okay.
So should be able to play soccer, a little basketball court,
Without
the
sacrificing
things
other
that,
areas.
that is correct.
In the red, I see.
Yes.
You said that you have no plans for any lights over there. Is that?
Is that what you said?
No lights.
Correct. Will you put that in there as a condition of approval?
Absolutely.
That there will never be any request for
Well,
lights?
it's not it's a condition of approval means you can't have it. They later on.
Yeah, that's my point, is that, can
You don't
put
say
it-
ever in a condition, you say no lights, period, not no lights ever. It's redundant, so
Well,
yes.
well, I don't know about that, 'cause I've seen these things creep.
I-
So anyway, so the
Yes.
bleachers, how high are they gonna be and which way are they gonna be facing?
So they're only, maybe the back of them, maybe about 4 or 5 feet tall. They're only like 5 rows. One is very small aluminum ones, and it's on 2 sides. And they're basically going to be facing towards the track. So they're
Towards
going
the
to be
track and
located.
towards the neighborhood?
Well, they're going to be facing this direction, yeah, so they can
Right.
see the track.
Towards a 10-foot high wall.
Right, okay. I just want to let you know that I back up to the sports at left fields at Olympia High School. And in the afternoon, they don't have lights over there either. And when I come home in the afternoon after work or whatever, and kids are playing, my grandchildren got a different taste category here, and I get all that. But I tell you, I cannot sit on my back porch and either read a book, watch TV, or look at these things because of the noise of the people that are yelling and all stuff. I got a 10-foot wall behind me, and as far as the vegetation, if there's any notion that the vegetation will ever diminish any of the noise or whatnot, that's just not true. Any noise consultant will tell you that. It may make it look nice, but it will do nothing to dampen any of the noise. So I'm just saying that you get people stacking up, and I get you, if you're gonna have this, you're gonna have bleachers, that kind of makes sense. But there is a noise impact to those neighbors when these parents are screeching across it and into their backyards. That's why you gotta let it.
Hi. Hey, my name is Erin. I go to school, my kids go to school at Holy Family, so thank you for the presentation, Father Martin. I'm also a neighbor. I live in Torrey Pines, and one of the reasons why we live over there and go to the school is because it is so convenient and because it is such a safe neighborhood. And the kids do need an upgrade, and that's simply all that it is in the back of the school is an upgrade. We're not changing anything else. And all the comments about noise I've heard from a few different people. This is very similar to living next to an airport. If you're gonna live next to an airport, there's gonna be airport noise, okay? If you're gonna live next to a school, yes, you are gonna hear kids. And if you don't like living next to the school, then there are other communities that you can move to.
There are what?
There are other communities that you can move to.
You
You already had a chance to talk in the green, you
wait,
already had a chance.
We live in the neighborhood.
You already had a chance to talk.
We live there,
Sir,
so nobody's
We
gonna
haven't
hold
had a
it
chance to
in your
talk.
neighborhood.
Okay, so listen.
We're losing the room.
Very,
We're losing
very,
the room
very,
here.
very, very important. I am one of the few commissioners that comes out and makes sure we do this type of robust community engagement because it's important that everybody understands everybody else's position. But in order for us to really be able to absorb those things, we gotta just listen for a little bit. And it's okay to ask questions and make comments. We're gonna try to keep personalities out of it and try to make sure we're all being good neighbors. I think that there's a lot of information for the applicant. There's a lot of information for me. I wanna make sure that the families that are here that are interested in this happening continue to engage. I want to make sure the neighbors that are worried about past development and future development, that we have a talk about what's going on with your cut-through traffic, and that we get your questions also answered. So, but we are like down to probably have maybe one or two.
Yeah, and someone who hasn't had a chance here yet to ask a question.
Yes.
You haven't had a chance, go ahead. Or two more.
Yeah, Bart Granacci, I'm a member of Holy Family for over 30 years. You know, I look at this project and, you know, and a lot of people have touched upon it, but this is really a safety project for the church and for the school, okay? Because the track is substandard, can't use it, it's unsafe right now. So to bring it to a standard, we have to bring it to that standard and improve safety. That is the main reason that track is being renovated or expanded. The expansion means that it meets a standard. Okay, right now it's not, it's substandard. It's dangerous for the kids. And take a comment that says no lights. I understand that, but the comment should go on and say no lights, no field lights for nighttime purposes. Okay, because the property for safety and security purposes requires lighting.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you can't just say no lights, it requires lighting.
Okay, so
Absolutely.
that's my
Of course
comment.
you're allowed to have parking lot lights.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I could just interject on that and help you close.
Well,
if you don't
she was
mind.
here first.
Oh, gotcha.
Just go ahead.
Just had a couple questions. One, I want to clarify what the other gentleman said about the traffic. The only reason the traffic slowed down around that corner was because they were demoing and they had to block it off. Previous to that, there's a little gate that comes out, and that's what they were using before the demo started. Once the demo started, that's when the traffic slowed down because they couldn't go that way. So I just wanted to clarify, that's why that stopped. The other thing I just want to clear up, and I hear all of you, and I want you guys to have a nice track, and I understand, but this is not just an upgrade, because I'm all for that. My children went to TFA, they did expansions, it was a totally different area, but this is making it larger, okay? It's not just fixing what's already there. You had to tear down a house to expand it. So to say that it's not an expansion, I just disagree with that. And then I have another question. Where E is right there, there's a little circular driveway. What is that
That's
for?
the house. So
That's a
let me
house.
clarify, we're not looking at the house. Any church in the county is allowed to put one house because
Yeah,
they're
you can put a
residential.
house there.
So whether it's here or whether it's here, it's not going to be in the description of the staff report other than saying a house was moved. So they're allowed outside this process to put this house here, so that's what they're doing.
It's a relocation of our old residence.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's what the circular drive
They had a
is.
different word on the thing.
So
Rectory.
it's wrecked here, it's parsonage for some,
Okay.
for all kinds of, so just
Yeah, sure.
one last here.
Iterating off of here, Alex Bostella, parent of Holy Family. My friend Patrick over here and I coach the track team there. So roughly 170 kids go through us every year. Lots of hours, lots of fun. The track is 293 yards. It's 83 degrees on each corner. Kids cannot run safely during practice, during school, going around that track, period. So we're not expanding the school in terms of the size, so you're gonna have the same amount of noise no matter what we had before. It'll actually be better, because if you have a safer track, it means we can have a proper practice, it means our coaches at the school can have proper PE with a bigger space. It of course has to be expanded in terms of size of the track, because a normal track is 400 meters with 8 different lanes. But it'll be safer, it'll be easier for our PE coaches to be able to have practice, to have less complaints from the students, which means less complaints and loud noises for the people who live around there. Unfortunately, we still have kindergarten to 3rd and 4th grade. Those kids are a lot of fun. We wish you loved the noise. Unfortunately, our neighbor over here has a recording of it. But it is what it is. Our school isn't changing, and the traffic isn't going to change. We're not going to have a new street go through your neighborhood. So,
Well, thank you, everyone. And to wrap up, and we closed the door because we're at a middle school and there was a lot of children making noise, so. So we're, if you want to have some, if we want to have
I live
some.
next to the middle school and I don't hear them. I hear your kids, but I don't hear I'm right in between. I'm in between both of you guys.
Okay, all right,
so-
let's get the applicant one last word and then we're gonna wrap things up here.
If I may just end with a word of thanks. Thanks first and foremost to our neighbors who come out. I know that some voiced their support and some voiced their opposition. We wanted to come before you all this evening to present to you the motivation behind what we wanted to do and wanted to explain to you the details of how we simply want to improve things for the life and the education of our children. I acknowledge some of these unpleasant feelings, for lack of better words, and I hear them and I appreciate them, and please know that I do take all that into consideration as well, and I appreciate you for expressing that. I am grateful for parents, former parents, parishioners who've been here to support us as well, and regardless whether supporting or opposing, know that my sincere good wishes are with you, and my gratitude are with you as well this evening. Thank you.
So, and then with that, you have our contacts, and you have the community meeting notice, my email's in there. Still feel free, obviously, there's maybe something that you didn't think of tonight, and you provide that comment. So if we have any last words by anyone, any prayers, we're gonna call it a night.